very, very good afternoon. Wednesday, the 5th of March 2025. My name is Raja Miah. These transmissions, they're going out in the afternoon at the moment because it's Ramadan. I struggle by the end of the day. Although yesterday I was at Tameside. I was at Tameside Council watching affairs unfold there. If you thought Oldham was bad, I'm afraid Tameside is much, much worse in my view. And not just what takes place on the council floor and what they've been allowed to get away with, but also the lack of organisation of the opposition in terms of the members of the public. But that's a conversation for another day. Thank you. We'll get there. We get there and we're winning. The Oldham Evening Chronicle first hit presses on May the 6th, 1854. It's 171 years old. Sadly, it's online these days rather than in print. I remember its heyday in print and how the paper round would go out day after day after day, offices across the town. It reminds me of a town of a different place, a different time, a better time. And for nearly 2 centuries, the editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle spoke truth to. It lost its way towards the end, I believe, with the likes of Dawn Marsden working for them, who now works for Angela Rayner. It got infiltrated, sadly. But for much of its time, it spoke truth to power, and it was, in a working class town such as ours, a voice for the voiceless. I make no reservations when I say to you that one of the proudest days of my mother's life was when the Chronicle ran an article on the work I was involved in. And when my sister cleared out my mother's prized possessions, inside, amongst them, was a cutout of a picture and a story about me from the Chron. When his great-grandmother, who's now also passed, cleared out her husband's treasured possessions, there was also a cutout of an article about me from the Evening Chronicle. So what Matt Ramsbottom has now done is remarkably courageous, and no one should underestimate the risk he has put himself in as a consequence. He's done this of his own volition, absolutely nothing to do with me. In fact, when him and I first came across each other, and it's documented on X, you'll see I gave him a piece of my mind. His life is now clearly at risk. He's a father with 2 young daughters. He lives in the town. He cares about the town. And he has a responsibility to speak out, and he has spoken out in a way I'm still struggling to comprehend. I shared with you all yesterday about my own reservations of the appointment of Shelley Kipling as Chief Executive of Oldham Council. I shared with you clear evidence of her ties to the Labour Party. I shared with you clear evidence of people from the council at the time of her first appointment raising alarm bells, whistleblowing as to the nature in which she was brought in as an assistant chief executive. I've shared with you evidence, clear evidence, of how Shelley Kipling has attempted to harass and intimidate and silence elected representatives in this council. Lewis Quigg is just one of them, by the way. I'm aware of others. And perhaps most significantly, I've shared with you how Shelley Kipling was a key member of Jim McMahon's communications team that helped cover up the grooming and gang rape of working class white girls in my town. You know I know of her association with Arud Shah and the closeness there. And despite every councillor in the council chamber knowing about this, there's a meeting tomorrow where they are set to ratify and sign off her appointment as chief executive. And I make this claim not to alarm you, but she is an enforcer. She is a Labour Party enforcer and Arud Shah enforcer, who also needs to protect herself and stop questions from being asked of her. Unfortunately, Lewis is the only one, Councillor Lewis Quigg is the only one who's spoken out, and I know he's paying a heavy price for doing so. I'm deeply disappointed in Councillor Dave Arnott, the Conservative Councillor Dave Arnott, who I know is listening to this, who approved her appointment as part of the Appointments Committee. Dave knows of her past, knows everything I shared with you, and still approved it. Why? You'll have to ask him, as you will perhaps have to ask every other councillor who's scheduled to vote her in tomorrow. I think the appointment of Shelley Kipling was a step too far, a crossing of the last line to be crossed for the Oldham Evening Chronicle. This is what they shared, and I've got the email. I'll share it with you now. If you are finding value in my work, and I say this every time and it's like a broken record, but I have no other way of doing this work. This work is only possible with your support. Hundreds of thousands watch my content every month. Millions engage with me on X. Yet sadly I am sustained by a handful of supporters. On the 1st of January I changed my approach and shared everything for free because of the movement we've made, the breakthrough we had. I said, no, Raja, you have a responsibility not just to your town, but to the entire country. Your work has to go out for free. The consequence has been I've lost at least a quarter of my paid subscribers. There's a web page through which I earn my income. It's called Red Wall and the Rabble. The link's right at the top. I'm just going to put it back up now. Here. It works out at 75 pence a week. My aspiration is 10 new paid subscribers a day. I'm nowhere near. This work is only possible when people like myself step forward and accept that despite what will happen to us, what might happen to us, what has happened to me, we will fight and will continue to fight because we believe that this injustice needs to be righted, and there is a duty on people like me, particularly people like me, to say no more. And what I do is only possible if you help me. Oldham Council, child abuse is one. Financial mismanagement is the second one. Accusations is the third one. Oldham Council leaderships is the fourth one. So there's 4 dashes there. So there's 4 themes. As you can see, the email is from Matt Ramsbottom, Credible Media, and that's the guy who owns the Oldham Evening Chronicle. He's the editor of the Oldham Chronicle. And you can see he sent it to Shelley Kipling. And he CC'd in a whole host of individuals, including Jim McMahon, Jess Phillips, Debbie Abrahams, Keir Starmer, Yvette Cooper, in terms of the MPs, Harry Caffrell, who still has a role somewhere in Oldham, I think, Emma Barton, who was going to be chief executive, but now is not chief executive. You can see he's copied in Charlotte Hall, who is the local democracy reporter, and Kyle Piffian, who is a councillor, but also works in Jim McMahon's office. Gaynor Murray, I'm not sure about who she is. I think she works at the Spindles. She's in charge of the Spindles, I think. So that's who this email has gone out to. Dear Miss Kipling, sent with respect to CC list and all concerned. Ms. Kipling. Good morning. We hope this message finds you well. We are writing to formally request that you consider our testimony in a government cross-party select committee into several pressing issues concerning Oldham Council, specifically the cover-up of child abuse. So the editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle is now coming forward and saying he wants the testimony of the Evening Chronicle in a government cross-party select committee into several pressing concerns, specifically the cover-up of child abuse. Raja Miah is no longer only saying that the grooming and gang rape of little white girls in Oldham was covered up. We now have the editor of the Evening Chronicle in his formal capacity writing to the Chief Executive of Oldham Council and copying in everyone, including the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary, the Minister for Safeguarding Children and the 2 MPs. There is no ambiguity here. There is no hiding here. Specifically, the cover-up of child abuse. Corruption, financial mismanagement that are not in the interests of the people who live in Oldham. So he's got these themes. Specifically, child abuse, corruption, financial and mismanagement. What has Raja Miah been campaigning on for the last 6 years? The editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle has now stepped forward. It is fair to say that other testimonies, reports of child abuse cover-up, reports of criminality, reports of corruption, and discussions from both individuals and community groups have raised significant concerns online about the integrity of operations and the leadership within the council, particularly regarding the safeguarding of vulnerable children, financial mismanagement, along with turning a blind eye to such important issues. That is the Chronicle editor speaking on behalf of the people of Oldham who are engaging with the Chronicle. What more do you want? Well, he'll give you more. This dovetails into our own experiences, discussions, emails and meetings with both the council and Jim McMahon. So he's naming names. He's met with Jim McMahon and he's met with individuals within the council, along with analysis and discussions from significant sources, coupled with simple, basic journalism with integrity. So he's talking about his discussions from significant sources. So he's got his own sources. He's the editor of the Evening Chronicle. 171 years in my town, in the main respected. It's our belief that forensic accounting would and should be an option in the interest of transparency and openness. Remember, Lewis Quigg took a motion for the forensic accountants to be brought in, and Arood Shah and her mates voted it down. We are sure a P&L with asset lists, balance sheets and management accounts will also show trends and also highlight issues. He's basically saying, bring in the forensic accountants and this corruption in this town will be exposed. We don't believe discussions about using the word Pakistani or white is helpful when it comes to child rape and abuse. Well, he's entitled to his opinion and that's fine. Although a description of perpetrators and victims must be useful to the police in child abuse cases, we are guessing. It's taking the piss there, I think. If you want to describe the perpetrator, surely you've got to describe his ethnicity. And my position has always been very straightforward when we talk about Pakistani or white. I make reference to it because I am very clear these were racially motivated crimes that fit every criteria of what a racially motivated crime is. I have 2 young girls aged 11 and 15. They live in Greater Manchester, Rochdale, Oldham. Are they at risk today is the big question for all concerned. White working class kids, so to speak. Are they at risk today is the big question. Well, the leader of Oldham Council, Raja Miah, we forced out of her in a moment of anger. It is still happening today, she stood up and said in the council chamber. I get a name check. It's very easy to dismiss social media posts from Raja Miah. There's a H at my end of my name, but I'll take that. It's very easy to dismiss social media posts from Raja Miah and other campaigners as misinformation. However, we have found the majority of his research to be based on facts. It's hard to disregard a lot of the information, especially when our sources concur, including ex-Oldham Council workers. So that's the Oldham Evening Chronicle confirming I am telling the truth. And their own research and evidence and sources have confirmed that I am telling the truth. Because I am not a liar. Because as I share with people who have worked with me, and been on this journey with me, the truth comes naturally to you. You don't have to remember the truth, and my story has been the same right from the outset. Jim McMahon was leader of Oldham Council, helped cover up the grooming and gang rape of working class white girls. He did that. He claims for community relations. I say to maintain his block vote. Bring on the public inquiry, sue me, have me arrested. My story will not change. Have me followed home, do whatever you want. And now Matt Ramsbottom is confirming that I speak the truth. The editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle. It's also hard to ignore the comment section on social media as a reflection of community sentiment. This could also be a good argument for solid and fair criticism, as well as potentially facts, especially regarding the feeling of those who live, work and run small businesses in the area, since some would say modern day feedback for councils in general. So it's not just we are saying these things. The people in the town are believing us. The council can do the comical Ali thing or whatever that guy in Iraq was. But the truth is the truth is the truth. The cover-up of child abuse, corruption and financial mismanagement is endemic in this town. We believe the community's trust in local governance is paramount, and it is essential to ensure that any potential misconduct is thoroughly investigated in all towns and cities in the UK. It may be argued Oldham is a good sample size for any UK research. So what he's saying is the government should do a public inquiry into Oldham, because what they find in Oldham will be mirrored elsewhere. These are indeed momentous developments, Jane. I know you're newer on this journey with us, but these are indeed momentous developments. The editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle has come out and declared war on the council. In fact, I'll say it this way. Matt Ramsbottom, the editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle, has come out and declared war on Oldham Council. He is calling out the cover-up of the gang rape of children. He is calling out the corruption and the financial mismanagement that is endemic in this town. And he's not just saying Raja Miah is right. He's saying the Oldham Evening Chronicle's own research, 171-year history, its own sources are validating not just what Raja Miah said. It is fulfilling its responsibility to the people of the town as being the voice for the voiceless. What are you going to do, McMahon? Call him racist and far right as well? Call 171 years of our town's history as racist and far right? What are you going to do, Raja Miah? Accuse him of misogyny when he's calling out corruption and financial mismanagement? That's the one I want. Sorry, give me 1 second. In addition, it has become increasingly apparent that there is a pattern of bullying, defamation, I think is what he meant. In addition, it has become increasingly apparent that there is a pattern of bullying, defamation being directed towards Oldham Chronicle Limited, and the disregarding of the inward investment we have made into the digital spaces over the years. So the editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle is now claiming the council is involved in bullying the local newspaper and defaming the editor. Wow. Now, I've proven to you Shelley Kipling is a bully. and tried to bully and harass Lewis Quigg. I've proven to you Arood Shah is a bully and had me falsely, maliciously arrested. Andy Burnham, you're neck deep in this, lad. We will see you at the public inquiry. Don't you worry about that. Your career's finished because your police force was weaponized to silence whistleblowers who did nothing but speak out against the gang rape of children. Where's your statement, Burnham, on Irish Imi? Where's your statement on the blowing up of the car and whether or not it was a setup? You're neck deep in this, lad. McMahon, you are finished. Debbie Abrahams, you are finished. The local newspapers just declared war on you. Wow. Believe this vendetta has clearly been initiated by yourself and through your staff and other elected members from all political parties. She's accusing the editor of Oldham Evening Evening Chronicle, is calling out Shelley Kipling, who will be confirmed as confirmed as the chief executive of Oldham Council tomorrow. So this timing of this letter isn't accidental. The editor of the Evening Chronicle, is calling out Shelley Kipling as a bully responsible for defamation being directed towards the Oldham Evening Chronicle, and claims that this vendetta has clearly been initiated by Kipling. Clearly been initiated by Kipling. We characterized it as a relentless vendetta aimed to undermine our small business that includes the Oldham Evening Chronicle. And he's put that in bold. We also find it adds serious insult to injustice that your background in public sector communications and your stance is to suffocate and remove all collaboration and partnership agreements with ourselves out of spite, ignorance, or both. It also seems like you want to control the local media narrative, publicize yourself via our channels while you intimidate and gaslight. This is evidential following on from our experience at the Oldham Coliseum event a while ago. Wow. Absolutely unbelievable. Come on, Arnott. Come on, Dave. What's your position now, Dave? The editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle, in fact, the Oldham Evening Chronicle has come out and called out the person you want to rubber stamp as chief executive of this town tomorrow. Here is the allegation that she's not only trying to control the media, she's trying to intimidate and gaslight a 171-year publication. Our Voice, the voice of the voiceless, holding truth to power. And what does the power want to do? It wants to silence it. This campaign appears to be fueled by your personal opinions with a disregard to fundamental communication principles in the public sector as well as the private sector, and I would go as far as to say the charity sector also. We believe this would be evidential with a simple questionnaire to other stakeholders, residents, elected members and past politicians that have served Oldham. So he's saying, go and ask everyone else. This is who Shelley Kipling is. She is a bully. We feel strongly that such behaviour, bullying and defamation, not only threatens the integrity of our business, but also stifles the entrepreneurial spirit within the community. It is disheartening to witness an abuse of power that prioritises personal vendettas over fair and ethical business practices, ultimately harming not just Oldham Chronicle Limited, but also the broader community that relies on diverse local enterprises for support and innovation. I refer to our innovative work and inward investment from other organisations as well as our enterprise. We politely request that Jim McMahon and Harry Caffrell verify the accuracy of our accusations. Oh my God, what is he saying there? We've already gone to Jimmy Maximosa and Dirty Harry Caffrell. That is what he's saying. We politely request that Jim McMahon MP and Harry Caffrell, former chief executive, verify the accuracy of our accusations. They have already gone to McMahon and Caffrell with, let's be clear on what we're talking about, the cover-up of child abuse, corruption and criminality that infests this council. And they've got the paper trail. They've kept the receipts, previous emails, telephone calls, meetings and email exchanges. We understand that we are accusing yourself of bullying and defamation over a sustained period and in an attempt to gain power and control. Wow. In case there was any ambiguity, this is what we are accusing you of: bullying and defamation over a sustained period in an attempt to gain power and control, while knowingly sabotaging our purpose and reputation in what is already a hostile media space due to big tech. We Credible Media, so that's the company that owns the Evening Chronicle, I think also the local radio station, respectfully seek the following. 1. An apology and for the vendetta against our small business and for the vendetta to cease and desist. So they want you to stop harassing them, intimidating them for daring report the truth or ask questions about the truth, which is the cover-up of the gang rape of children, the criminal associations of senior councillors and public officials in this town, including but not just linked to Irish Himi, a man who has just opened his business, registered his business in the council-funded facilities. You couldn't make this up. Thank you. Sorry, I'm going to stop to say thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Graham. Thank you, Tech Adapter. Thank you so much. The work I do is only possible with your help. This letter, I would argue, has only come out because, and you're only seeing it because of me, but that's by this. I doubt very much that the Oldham Evening Chronicle would ever have got to this space if I had not done what I have done for the last 6 years. 6 bloody years. Those of you who have come along and say, why has it not changed? Why has it not changed? 6 years. They've dragged me into police cells, the back of police cars. I've been in every dock, in every courtroom across Greater Manchester. I've had my picture in the Manchester Evening News, my details of where I live published with fake allegations that I was arrested for child abuse, harassing women, all fabricated, all false. And now this breakthrough. Thank you, JJ. And I've seen the petition, mate. I'll talk about it another time. Please. You need to understand the significance of what this is and focus on this. This is the historical voice of the people of Oldham, the Oldham Evening Chronicle, coming out and saying Raja Miah's information campaign is honest, it's true, and we have experienced the same. So we have confirmed the same through our own independent sources, and when we've sought to ask questions, we have been bullied, harassed, intimidated by those that lead the council. This is astonishing. And they're not hiding. Matt's not hiding. For our testimony, views and experiences to be considered as part of a wider discussion in a positive way on the above, including child abuse cover-up issues. So they want to give testimony, open and transparency following this email with no recourse. I draw your attention to the very important fact the leader is missing in this email for safety reasons and concerns for our own safety, and not only concerning ourselves, however, our families and business property and vehicles, etc. Fucking hell. Sorry, do you know what he just said there? He's not copied in he's not sent this email to Arud Shah, the leader of Oldham Council, because of her gangster associations and because he's scared of what will happen to him and his family if Arud Shah finds out. The editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle has just said he's not sent this to the leader of the council because he's scared of what will happen to him. And he's right. As someone who has stood as a witness, as a victim in the courtroom multiple times against Irish Himi, Arud Shah's whatever he is, driving around in a brand new Bentley with her in the passenger seat over the weekend, chair of the National Constitutional Committee of the Labour Party. That's who Arud Shah is. Chair of the National Constitutional Committee of the Labour Party, and the editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle has kept her out of the email because of fear for his life and his family's life because of her gangster associations. Thank you, mate. Thank you so much. I was at kebab shop last night and to pick up some food for myself on the way back from the council meeting in Thameside in Duckenfield. I'll keep the kebab shop's name quiet, chatting to the lad who owns it. Raja, they came in looking for you. They want to know where you live. Listen, you Pakistani gangster scum. You don't need to know where I live. Tell me where to be and I'll be there. Put up a message now. Go on, tell me where to be. Give me a time and place and I'll be there. What are you going to do? Kill me? Try it. It's too late for you Pakistani gangsters. Give me the time and place and I'll be there. This town is no longer scared of you. This country is no longer scared of you. We see you for what you are. Gang raping our children, taking control of our councils, and using your block vote to reach the highest levels of power. Well, maybe it'll work with those who want power, but it won't work with people like me. Come on, put the message up. You want me in Glodick? I'll come to Glodick. You want me in Werneth? I'll come to Werneth. I don't give a fuck. Come on. Absolute vermin. This is a liberal Western democracy and we will fight to protect our way of life. Leaving messages in kebab shops. Where does he live? Wankers. Cowards. So the editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle has not sent this email to the leader of Oldham Council because he's scared what the leader of Oldham Council will do through her gangster associations. They're in black and white. We can express our personal safety and concerns to the police alongside a senior officer in the first instance, so they want a meeting. Please advise who is best placed to address our grievance and our concerns for the town, where Susan, that's his partner, and I both live and work, and who you would suggest we work with moving forward. Remember, he's alleging the would-be chief executive of the council, who's meant to be rubber-stamped tomorrow by the Conservatives, the Lib Dems and the Independents. Every one of you scumbags who approve her is not with me and not with the town. If I've not made myself clear before, I think this just reaffirms it. Every one of you who confirms the appointment of Shelley Kipling is not with the town. You are on the side of the gang rapists. You are on the side of Arud Shah's gangster associations and the criminality and the corruption. Anyone who supports her appointment now is on the side of the enemy. Not just to the people of Oldham, but to the people of this country. There is no ifs, buts or maybes here. There is no abstaining. This is the Oldham Evening Chronicle, 171-year publication, raising alarm bells in a way never before seen. Never before seen. If we could be as bold as to request Emma Barton, Assistant CEO Oldham Council, and Louise Slater, Business Officer, in the first instance, coupled with a police representative, we have a case number, so they've already reported this to the police, with a long-term aim of a functional relationship that benefits Oldham, Oldham Council and the wider communities, including stakeholders in the town. And then they feel the need that they need to reference people who will vouch for them. And it includes Darren Royal, the CEO of Oldham Athletic, Father Daniel, the Oldham parish priest, who says the prayers at the beginning of the council meetings. Katie Bennett, the Spindle Shopping Centre, Suzanne Wright, Pearson Solicitors, Joanne Nuttall, Brakely Nuttall, Andrew Whitehead, Mayor's Office, Oldham Council, Raymond Sarple, ex-marketing director, Wolverhampton University, Beverly Bird, Phil Riley, ex-CEO of Beacon Radio, Jane Davis, ex-Capital Group. Wow. In the interest of transparency, please note this email has BCC as well as CC. We urge you all to take this email seriously and hope to find a remedy the town council and ourselves soon. Signed, sincerely, Matt Susan, Oldham Chronicle. It doesn't matter what happens tomorrow at this meeting. It matters that when the moment came, Matt Ramsbottom and Susan Pownell, I think her surname is, risked their life, the treasure that is a 171-year-old publication, put their neck on the lines and spoke out on behalf of the town and on behalf of the country. That's what matters here. We once were. We've still got a journey to go on. We've got to get mobilised. We've got to get organised. We've got to put our petty differences to one side. And when the battle comes, as it will do at the next election and more so at the general election, where this will be concluded, win or lose, we have to be ready for that moment. The editor of the Oldham Evening Chronicle has just released an email calling out what would be the rubber stamped as the chief executive of the council tomorrow, as neck deep in the cover-up of the corruption and the criminality that infests my hometown. I take no pride in this. I fight because it's my home, and like so many of the working classes who stand alongside me, we do not have the luxury of choice. We have nowhere else to go. If you find value in my work, and I am struggling, if you find value in my work, my aim is 10 new paid sign-ups a day for March, so I can get back to where I was, and this work can carry on for free. Hundreds of thousands of you interact on my YouTube channel. Millions engage with me on X. Just under 1 million over the last 28 days on Facebook. My numbers are pitiful. Subscribe for free if you can't afford it. I get that. Money's tight. Even 75 pence a week is tight to people. It's hard. I get that. Doesn't matter. But you can subscribe and at least give me some courage that there are people with me. Even if they can't pay to support me, there are people with me. Redwall and therabble.co.uk. And if you can afford it, it's £3 a month or just pay for the year, £30 a year. My aim, if you do the numbers, is just to earn £30 a day and build up my subscriber base again. I always believe this, and I've always believed this. Where our town goes, where this country goes, isn't for the likes of Mac Mahon, Debbie Abrahams, Keir Starmer, Yvette Cooper, Jess Phillips to decide. Where this town goes, where this nation goes, is for you and not me and the likes of us to decide. Very, very good afternoon.
Do not fear them. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.